Welcome back to the second Duchenne Dash training video. This is a second in a series of short videos designed to help you get ready to join us on the start line to Paris in a few weeks' time. Now, the single most requested feature has been to talk about training. So we're going to skip group riding for now, which I know I said would be the second video, and we'll revisit group riding at a later video. Now, when it comes to training, everyone's starting from a different point. Everyone will have different levels of fitness, different levels of cycling experience. So I can't give you each a unique training program designed just for you, but what I can do is give you some tips today that will turbocharge your training. So a couple of points before we start. When you're out training, if at any point you feel like you're overdoing it, particularly if you've got chest pains or shortness of breath or sore jaw, etc., please stop, rest, see how you feel, and if appropriate, stop. Maybe even seek medical attention, particularly if you've got any pre-existing medical conditions. Secondly, any training that you do, any riding on the bike between now and Paris will be beneficial. You'll read lots of stuff online about what zone you should be training in and how hard you should be doing it. We'll talk about some of these things, but the more time you spend on the bike, the better. So that's rule number one, if you like. Right? Now, rule number two is if you are out training, the best thing you can do is try and stretch what you're doing. Right? It's great if you find a particular loop, you've got an hour that you do on a weeknight and a 2-hour ride on a Saturday morning, and it's the same over and over again. That's brilliant, that's all good time in the saddle, but the way you'll get better is by stressing your body and stretching what you do, and that's what most professional training programs do. And there's some really simple things you can do to do that, and I'm going to give you 3 today that you can easily incorporate into your normal ride. So first of all, when you're riding, if you can find an open stretch of road, do some sprints. Sprint as hard as you can, maybe for 10 seconds or 20 seconds, or from here until the traffic lights. Obviously, please be careful if you're on an open road. There's pedestrians who step out in front of you, etc. So please make sure it's safe to do so. But try and incorporate some sprints into your training. You'll find that that will help your ability, both your cardiovascular system and your strength. Now, obviously, if you can ride at 100% of a particular level the whole time, as soon as you start doing sprints, you're now going above 100%. So expect a bit of recovery time, expect to feel tired and exhausted after that. That's fine. And the more of those you can do, the longer and faster and harder you'll be able to do it for them. And eventually at 105, 110% will become your normal. The second thing that you can do is climb hills. There are some hills on the way from here to Paris. It's not a particularly hilly route, but there's 2 or 3 climbs that will certainly tax the less experienced rider. So if you can find a hill near you that's maybe part of your regular ride or something you can add in, the more times you can ride up that hill, the better. Even if you can take a detour and just go up a short climb that takes an extra minute, do that. Add it into your training. The more rides uphill you do, the stronger you'll become. And then the third thing that I used to do, if you have a regular ride, I used to commute very regularly into London, and I would do this. And maybe it's a ride if you're going to and from a friend's house or the gym or whatnot. When you stop at traffic lights, normally you change down to an easier gear, ready to set off when the lights go green. One of the things you can do is keep it in the high gear, keep it in the gear that you rode up to the lights in, and when the lights change, pedal really hard, really stamp those pedals down and get up to your normal riding speed, and that will build strength in your legs. Now, those 3 things you should be able to incorporate into your normal riding without any special equipment, without need to do anything fancy. You don't need special equipment to do it. So I definitely recommend those to turbocharge your training. The third thing that you might be able to do, if you have access to Swift, a watt bike, maybe your gym, a Peloton, anything like that. Many of these platforms have training programs. They'll have a 10-week plan that gradually ramps up your power. And these are very clever. What they do is they measure your power on day 1, and then they adjust the starting point so that you build up. So it doesn't mean that you end up having to train like a Tour de France champion from day 1. It's just scaled back, and you may be doing the same sort of steps, but scaled for your performance. If you get a chance to do something like that, if you have the equipment, wonderful. That will really help boost you and get you onto the start line in Paris in better shape. And then the final thing I would say, the fourth point is when you're going out for a training ride, try and not do it alone unless that's your only option. Right? There's a couple of reasons for that. One is that you get a chance to ride with more experienced riders. That's great. You'll be able to pick up from them little tips. You'll see what gear they're in. You'll maybe hear them changing down before a climb sooner than you would. You can ask them questions, get some advice. That will really help. Obviously for the Duchenne Dash, we've got some training rides coming up, some rider skills sessions. Please come along to those if you can. Again, you get the chance to ride with a whole group of ride captains that are all very experienced cyclists, and we can help you pass on some tips to you. But the other reason is, if you say, I'm going to go out for a tour ride on Saturday morning, and you wake up on Saturday morning and it's a bit cold and a bit damp, it's very easy to either skip the ride or just do a shorter ride instead. Whereas if you've arranged to meet someone at 7 a.m. and you're going out for a 2-hour ride, that's great. You're far more likely to do it if you're in a small group. Now that could be just a friend, another cyclist that you know. Maybe you're part of a group that are training to do the Duchenne Dash together. Maybe you can find a local cycling club. Most cycling clubs are mixed ability groups. They'll split into different bands, and even if you're in the back group, that's fine. You get to ride with other cyclists at the same sort of ability, and you're far more likely to show up and do the training if you've committed to do it with someone else. So hopefully those 4 tips are beneficial. Please go out, get riding, ride safely, and we'll see you fitter and healthier on the start line for Paris in a few weeks' time.